Hello everyone and welcome to the How to Gold It series, where we are trying to get the gold medal in the Gran Turismo 7 time trials. I'm not trying to set the fastest lap time in the world, I'm driving on the controller and all I care about is getting the gold medal and trying to help you guys achieve the same thing. And now let me tell you a short story full of heartbreak and anger of how I've gotten this lap. This time we are at the Nürburgring GP in any Group 3 car of our choice. At the time of recording this video, the fastest time in the world is 1 minute 53.9, which means that in order to get the gold medal, we need at least a 57.3. And when it comes to cars, I was pleasantly surprised to see that there were many different cars on the leaderboards. 911s, GTRs, Mazdas, a few Supras, even the likes of R8 and Corvette, and many more. I have decided to go with the Mazda RX Vision because it combines the handling and turning of a mid-engine car with the stability of a front-engine car. And also because the fastest lap time in the world was set in this car. And so, I started putting the laps in. What makes the Nürburgring GP such a difficult circuit is that there are 16 corners and none of them are free. Every single corner can be the difference between a great lap and an awful lap. And due to that, it is quite difficult to put all of those corners together to create a good lap. On lap 13, I've set a 56.032 lap, which overall was a good lap, apart from one small thing. I've royally messed up turn 12, losing from 2 to 3/10. And I wasn't too upset about it because I knew that all I needed to do is to replicate that lap to a certain extent without messing up turn 12 and I'll have a good lap. But this is where it all went downhill, because I just couldn't do it. On lap 12, I was too greedy through the final chicane and invalidated a 55.795 lap. On lap 26, I had a 3/10 improvement coming into the final chicane and I lost pretty much all of it going through it and the final corner. I've ended up setting a 55.918. On lap 30, I've improved by 8 thousandths of a second, setting a 55.910. At this point, I was doing this for an hour and this lap was well within the gold medal gap, but I wanted to keep going for two reasons. One, I knew I could get a 55.7. It wasn't one of those hypothetical optimal laps that you know you're never gonna get. I know it's possible, all I need to do is just put all of the corners together once. And two, that 55.9 lap was so messy that I didn't want to make a video on it, because every single corner was slightly off, slightly too slow, and I didn't feel like it was worth your guys' attention. So I kept going. Lap after lap, you see your optimal lap time drop just ever so slightly, but your actual personal best doesn't change. And every lap you think that this is the one, you can feel it, but eventually all of them ended the same way. Slight mistake in one of the corners, 2/10 loss, no way to recover. On lap 39, I've set another 55.783 that was once again invalidated because of me pushing the limits in the final chicane. And on lap 43, after 1.5 hours, I finally had enough. My optimal lap was 55.4, but I didn't care about getting it, I just wanted at least a 55.7. Next morning, I wake up, I'm determined to set a good clean lap. Second lap, I set a 55.992, which gives me hope that I only need a few laps to get it done. On lap 6, I get a penalty. I decide not to waste time serving at the next lap, so I just restart. And this is where it finally happens. So let me talk you through a lap around Nürburgring GP circuit in the Group 3 Mazda RX Vision. Going into turn 1, you want to make sure to brake as much in a straight line as possible. It's a slightly curving braking zone, and if you start trail braking there, it's going to extend your braking distance. Jump on the brakes right as the asphalt on the left side ends and keep the car in a straight line. Wait until you get through the dip on the apex of turn 1 and then start applying the throttle. You want to do it as early as possible, so start opening up the steering when you accelerate to avoid sliding the car on the exit. For turn 2, you want to position your car more or less in the middle of the track. Lift off and turn the car into the corner, and a small dab on the brakes to make sure that you hug the apex in the middle of the corner. Start accelerating after you pass the middle of the corner, once again opening the steering as you accelerate to avoid lighting up the rear tires. You can use the curb and the AstroTurf on the exit, but be careful with it because it's quite slippery. If you see that you are understeering wide or the car is starting to slide, you can short shift into the third gear. It will momentarily kill the momentum of the car and will keep you within the limit. For For turn 3, you want to brake around 10 to 15 meters before the end of the green astroturf on the right and trail brake your way in. You want to slightly overshoot the corner on the entry and cut back in on the exit to set yourself up nicely for turn 4. On the exit, short shift into the 3rd gear and lift off slightly while turning into turn 4. Exiting turn 4, you want to accelerate as early as you dare because the term track limits does not exist on the exit of that corner, so you can use all of the surface that you have available. Coming into turn 6, you want to brake at the end of the cones on the right or right as the white line on the edge of the track begins. You will be trail braking into the next 2 corners. To avoid sudden oversteer when you release the brakes, make sure to transition into accelerating straight away. You can see here that as soon as I release the brakes, I give it about 5% throttle before proceeding to accelerate fully. For turn 7, you start braking right after the curb on the right begins. Be careful on the trail braking and accelerate as early as possible. You can also short shift into 3rd gear to avoid wheel spin on the exit. Now we are coming up to turn 8 hairpin, and instead of just hugging the apex the whole way around the corner, we are going to square this corner out. Start braking a few meters after the grey curb on the left starts and aim to the inside of the corner. You are going to go past the apex, then let the car roll a little bit and turn towards the exit of the corner. Start gently applying the throttle and power out of the corner as soon as you see the edge of the exit curb. Coming into the Schumacher S, make sure to use all of the entry curb on the right hand side. You can use the tire marks on the track as your indication for when to turn in. You'll need a slight lift to make sure that you hit the inside curb in the first left-hander and then stay to the right as much as possible without clipping the gravel. On the entry of turn 11, you want to use all the track surface that's available and brake right after the asphalt bit on the right begins. You can use a lot of the inside curb. Make sure to not accelerate too early because otherwise you'll end up on the exit curb and that will not set you up nicely for turn 12. For turn 12, brake a few meters before the curb on the right starts. You can use the curb on the inside, but don't go too far onto it because that'll unsettle the car and ruin the exit speed. We've only got 2 corners left, but those corners are very important to the lap time. You'll be braking right before the 100 board for the chicane. The first corner is relatively easy. Position your left side wheels over the higher part of the curb. For the second corner, we have a very good indication of how much you can cut it in the form of a cone. As long as you hit the cone with your front bumper and your left side wheels stay in contact with the red and white curb, you will not get a penalty. Lift off slightly for a split second while going over the cone to avoid losing the rear, and then get on the power immediately. And coming up to the final corner, you want to use the whole curb on the left and use the beginning of the tire marks on the track as your indication to start braking. Go for a slightly later entry into the corner, then cut back to the inside without clipping the curb and power out on the exit using the whole of the exit curb. And then the run up to the line to complete the lap. I ended up setting a 1 minute 55.758, which was, as of the recording of this video, around 1.6% off of the fastest lap in the world, as well as 1.6 seconds clear of the gold medal cutoff point, which gives us enough of a gap to stay in the gold in case the world record time gets improved. I hope you found this video interesting and useful, and if so, please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. I'll greatly appreciate it. Nürburgring is a very difficult track, but I'm sure you'll have no issues getting the gold medal on this time trial. Now I will leave you with the full, uninterrupted lap. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.